help you just do a little bit of quiz review before you take your quiz number 2. So I'm going to go through the odds, then I'm going to let you guys try the evens, and I'll post the answers so you can see if you did them correctly. But I'm going to work out the left side here. So terms are all of these individually. Terms are separated by a plus or a minus sign. So the first term I see for number 1 is 6x. The second term I see would be a positive 3x squared. The third term would be negative 5. So that's just listing all the individual, those are called terms. Coefficients are numbers that are in front of a variable. So in this case, we have 6x and 3x squared. So the number 6 is considered a coefficient. It's a number in front of a variable. And 3 is a coefficient. It's also in front of a variable. A constant has no letters with it. So the constant in this one was negative 5. So coefficients and constants are numbers. Coefficients are numbers that are with variables, and constants are numbers without any variables. Okay, let's go to solving. We did this earlier in the chapter, but on this one, you want to get x by itself, so we're going to minus 2 to both sides. Bring down the 7x equals 23 minus 2 is 21. And then the next step to get x by itself would be to divide by the 7. So x equals 3. Question 5, when you have a parenthesis in a problem, you're going to distribute. So first step to get rid of parentheses is to take 6 times x and 6 times negative 5. 6 times x is 6x. And this is 6 times a negative 5, which is negative 30. Once you have distributed, then we're going to get our x's on the same side. So we'll move the x's. I'm going to subtract 4x, because this is our equal sign right here, under the 6x, because the x's are considered like terms. Now those x's are gone, because 4 minus 4 is 0, and 6x minus 4x is 2x. Bring down your minus 30, your equal sign, and then left on this side we have this minus 12, so you write negative 12. The next step after you move your x's would be to move your numbers. So this 30, I'm going to add 30 to the other side. So on this one, if I took my x's to the left, I need to take my other numbers that don't have x's to the right. These cancel out. You have 2x equals negative 12 plus 30 is going to give us 18. And then you will divide both sides by 2. When there's a number in front of a variable, that means divide. Now I know I said I'm going to just do the odd ones and let you do the even ones, but I'm afraid some of you guys are going to get to number 6 and look at that and not know what to do. So big picture on number 6, this line here means divide. So the opposite of dividing, let's get rid of that line, would be 2 times 5. If we times by 5 on this side, the 5's will cancel each other out. So if x plus 2 equals 4 times 5 is 20. Now I'm going to let you finish it from there, because I think from there we should be able to get the x by itself. I just wanted to help you on that first step on that one. Okay, number 7. This whole section is on simplifying. Simplify means there's no equal sign in these problems. We're going to, another word of saying for these two would be like combining like terms. So when we did another review, the day 1 homework, a lot of people struggled when we had a squareds and a's in the problem. So to be like terms, they have to have the same letter and same exponent. So I'm going to box these two a squareds together. Remember, the exponent is with the variable, not with the number. So this does not become 81. This is just a negative 9. And this one doesn't have a number, so we call that just a 1a squared. So when you add negative 9a squared plus 1a squared, you keep the letters because they are the same. So that would be negative 8a squared. Okay? So now we're going to look at the a's we have left. We have a positive 4a, a and we have plus 3a. Remember, the sign in front of it stays with that number. So 4a plus 3a gives me positive 7a. And we cannot add those because one of them is an a squared and one of them is a. So that is as simplified as it goes. Those are not like terms, so we leave them individual like that. Number 9, evaluate means you're going to be given an answer, like x equals 5, and you're going to plug it into the problem. So we have y equals negative 4. So I'm going to draw these lines. They're called absolute value. So we're going to take 3 times negative 4 plus our x value, which was 5. So inside the absolute value signs, you kind of do it like order of operations. You're going to do multiplying first and then the addition. So we would get absolute value of negative 12, bring down plus 5. And I don't know if you can make those absolute value signs bigger or something to make you understand that that's not a 51, that's a line for absolute value. Okay? Inside the absolute value, we're going to take negative 12 plus 5 and get negative 7. And now we have to take the absolute value of negative 7. The absolute value of negative 7 is positive 7. So 7 is the correct answer. You don't take the absolute value until you get to the end of everything inside the absolute value being done. You don't do them individually. You do everything inside, simplify it as much as you can, and then at the end take the absolute value of that number. Remember, the answer to absolute value is always going to be positive here because the absolute value is the distance from 0. Distance is always positive. Even if you drive in reverse, it still goes up on your odometer. Alright, inequalities. When you're doing an inequality, just a quick review, if you have a less than or greater than sign, you're going to do an open circle on the number line. If you have a line under it, whether it's less than or greater than, those are going to give you closed circles on the number line. When you read something, you always read from the variable. So on this one, you add 3 to both sides. Okay, negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Look at our little cheat chart up here. If it has a line under it, it's going to be a closed dot on that number. And greater than, this is greater than, the big side or the mouse side is open towards the y. So we want numbers that are bigger than negative 2. So all these numbers to the right here are bigger than negative 2. In elementary school, they used to do like a Pac-Man thing. So like you could pick a number over here. Is the number, we'll say 3, any number you want over here. So is this number, is 3 bigger than negative 2? So this number is definitely larger than negative 2, so the big mouse side should be opening towards that. So check. Yes, we shaded the right side because this is bigger than that number. The only thing strange about this one is maybe at the end, when you divide by a negative, if you take your letters to the left, divide by a negative, you're going to flip the inequality. Alright, last one we're going to do together is literal equations. Literal equations are when there's more than one letter, it'll tell you a specific letter to solve for. This one says solve for the letter R. So in this problem, here's your letter R. When all the numbers or letters are touching each other, like right next to each other, that implies multiplying. And we know the inverse of multiplying is to divide. I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying. I'm going to divide the 2 and pi to the other side. So by dividing, 2 divided by 2, those cancel out, and pi divided by pi, that cancels out. So my answer is c over 2 pi equals r. And the last one here, I will go ahead and do this one. We want to solve for the letter y. Okay, so here's your letter y. We need to get rid of the 5x in order to get y by itself. So we are going to do the opposite of a positive 5 here, is to subtract 5x to the other side. The 5 has the minus sign with it, so make sure that 5 keeps the negative sign, and the 4 is positive, so we put a plus sign to show that the 4 was a plus 4 or positive 4. Then the last step is you do still have a number in front of the y. You need to divide each of these by that number. Now when I did negative 5 divided by 2, it comes out to a decimal, so I'm just going to leave it in fraction form, negative 5 over 2. But on this one, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I'll just write plus 2. I only leave it in a fraction if they can't be divided evenly, like it comes out to a decimal or something. So this is called slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where this is your slope, and this is your y-intercept. We're not going to graph those this chapter, but just to get ready for next chapter, getting y by itself is going to be something that you're going to get ready to do for next chapter, because we have to be able to graph a line. The literal equations are getting a variable by itself. It will ask for a specific one, versus the other ones you always just solve for the only variable in there.